Hi guys, welcome back to Wild Style. Thanks for joining. Today I'm Angela. Today I'm going to be potting up some seeds, kind of starting spring gardening. Even though it's still very cold outside, these are the earliest seeds that need planted. So the idea is that these are flowers and vegetables that will go into the yard or garden. Later, probably, hopefully in May for us, is when we're kind of a zone 4, zone 5. That's kind of when our last frost date's usually around May 15th. So hopefully these can go out around that time. But we'll see. So my favorite way to start seeds is a mix of seed starting soil. So this soil is nice because it's light and airy. The seeds can pop through that. The roots can go down. The leaves can come up. It's very happy in here for a short while. So it's nice to start with some seed starting potting mix. Some of these will have the little white perlite or vermiculite in them. Some mixes don't. Either one's fine. You can always add. So I do have some here. You can always add more if you want to. Mine has it, so at this point I'm not going to add it. We'll see how it looks in a minute. But I like to do that seed starting mixture, and then I like to do the other half with a traditional potting mix. So the traditional potting mix tends to be a little bit heavy for the seeds to start out in. You can start seeds out in the potting mix. I just have found it less successful if I do straight potting mix. You can start them out in just the seed starting mix. The caveat to that is there's no nutrients in here. So your seeds are okay with that for a little while, but as they start to grow and you start to get true leaves and multiple leaves coming out, you're going to start needing those nutrients and your soil's not going to have it. So you end up having to transplant them while they're still fairly young and tender, which is possible. It's doable. People do it all the time. But my favorite way is to do a mixture, about half and half, of the potting mix and the seed starting mix, in the hopes that I get the best of both worlds. I've had pretty good luck with that in the years past. I love the smell of dirt, especially in the winter when you haven't got to play in the dirt for many months now. This is another seedling seed starter mix because I was out of my other one. And it's got quite a bit of the perlite or vermiculite in there also. But it's in smaller chunks than I'm used to seeing it. So it's my first time with a Sun Gold brand. We'll see how it goes. Okay. I'm going to wet this down. Seed starting mixes like to be pretty dusty, and it does take quite a bit of water to get them wet. Okay, that's looking pretty good. If anything, I might have got it too wet because I'm squeezing a little water out. It's a hair wetter than I want it to be. I'm going to add some perlite. I just kind of got this mixed up and thought it needs a little bit more. Okay, it's not bad. It's a hair wetter than I like, but it's not bad. Yeah, ideally what you want is when you squeeze it for no water to come out, and I'm getting a little bit of water dripping out, but it to hold its shape. So no water comes out when you squeeze, and it holds its shape. So mine is holding shape, but it's got a little bit more because I'm getting a few drops of water out when I squeeze it, but it's going to be close enough for me. So then I like to take my trays. I just scoop a bunch of dirt in there. Rub it around. Let's see. You can see that. So throw a bunch of dirt on there. I just do 2 fingers lightly in each cell just to kind of pack it down just a hair. And then I finish cleaning it off, lift it out of there. Then when I go to plant my seeds, depending on what seed I'm putting in here, I will either make a little hole or lay the seed on top. We'll go into that more in a minute, but I'm going to fill these up first. I'm going to do 4 of them today. Okay, that one's done. Let me grab my seeds. Okay, before you get too far in your seed starting, I like to pause, write out all the seeds I want to start before I get planting and get my hands dirty again now that I've got them clean. So I'm going to do that real quick. I just got a bunch of small plant labels in bulk on Amazon. And my favorite pen from Amazon called the Garden Marker. It's been great for me so far. Holds up to being sprayed with water. Holds up decently outside for a while. So it's actually been a pretty good marker, and it's Last I bought it was fairly inexpensive. So one thing to remember is the bottom half of your label is going to be down in the dirt, especially if you're doing seeds. You want to be able to push that as far in as you can because you're probably going to put a dome over the top. And if you have this sticking up, it's going to limit what you can do with your dome. Okay, so I'm going to start with my snapdragons. So I've already put the tags in there. Now I just need to line up the seeds. So with snapdragons, they need light to germinate. All we're going to do with these is lay them right on top of the soil. Then we're going to barely mist them. And then we're going to put a small layer of the perlite on top of them. So we're not actually covering them with additional soil. So this is my light salmon. These are the world's tiniest seeds. Okay, this is the plum blossom. And I do go through each of these varieties that we're going to be planting today. I've gone through in my previous seed ordering videos. So if you missed my last couple of videos, go check those out. I talk a lot more about the varieties and why I picked the varieties I picked. So the other thing I like to do is if I use up all of the seed that I'm planting, I will put that in a different pile. I will write that in my planner. So I have a year-long planner that I use for all sorts of other stuff. But in the back of the planner, I'll just write seeds to buy for the next gardening year. And I'll write down what I used. And so then that way, when I go to order my seeds in the fall, I'll have a list of what I need. I don't have to pull out all my seeds back out and go through them again. So super handy. Save you some time, hopefully, if you just make a note of it now. Okay, and so this is actually one that I am out of now. Pretty cool. So there's a couple more in there. These seeds are so tiny, they kind of get lost. So I will know for next year, I will write down that I need to order a deep rose snapdragon. Or if I don't pick the same variety, I at least know what I'm missing. So if I wanted another pink, I could find another pink variety. So I'm going to stick that kind of in a different pile. Okay, this last one is the Potomac Orange. It's a beautiful variety. I actually was not going to get any more snapdragons, and I saw this variety, and I kind of just had to. So here we are. And I liked it so much, I'm actually going to do, it's the only one I'm going to do 4 cells of. Okay, so these, because those seeds are just set right on top of that soil, I'm just barely going to mist them in, trying not to displace any of the seeds. So this is a very gentle mister. Okay, I just did a real thin layer of the perlite on top. Now I'm going to put the lid on. These do have to be under the grow lights. I have a heat mat that's the size of this tray, so everything's going to be on a heat mat. I don't know that it's required for these, but it won't hurt them. But they definitely need the grow lights, so make sure you do have those on grow lights. And then I will just mist. These are the type of trays that you can bottom water, but I tend to not bottom water until I get a nice looking plant in there that actually has roots that can go down and search for that water. I try and mist them until I get a nice plant with some true leaves coming up. Okay, this tray, I'm going to try to do both geraniums and my artichokes. So I think I'm just going to do half and half. I do want, this is the only geranium variety I have. It is my favorite, but I ordered my seeds late this year, and they were out of most of the varieties. But they did have this one, which is my favorite, which is the apple blossom. So pretty. Okay, so these need to go 1/8 of an inch in the soil, which is not much. So I'm barely going to just make a tiny indent with my finger. So what I'd like to do with these this year is I actually want to try bringing them indoors at the end of the season and see if I can keep one growing inside. So these do not have to have light for germination. They will have light because they're going to be on my tray with everything I'm starting today. I'm just going to take a little bit of soil and just barely cover up those seeds. Okay, so the artichokes, that's going to be more of a traditional 1/4 of an inch deep. Last year was my first year growing artichokes. They did really well. They were fun. We ate them all summer, and I was surprised at how many actual artichoke plants we got that we were able to eat. They're smaller than the ones you get in the grocery store, but we still had a good time with them. So definitely worth it if you like to eat artichokes. My whole family does, so we just couldn't get enough. Make sure you're checking each packet and you're planting each seed at the appropriate depth. Otherwise, they will not come up. And I find it easier than trying to manipulate the soil after I've dug a hole to just add a little bit extra on top. I'm also going to mist these in. I can mist these ones pretty heavily because the seeds are bigger. I'm not worried about losing those seeds as the mist hits them. And then I like to dome all of my seeds. When I go to start them, I just dome everything because I think that helps them keep the moisture in there where they need it. I'm going to do one set of the pink fong tomatoes. They're a little bit of an odd shaped tomato. I got those seeds for free. I don't know how they taste, so I'm not gonna go overboard on the tomatoes with those because I don't know how they do or how they'll taste or how I'll even use them to cook with. So we'll see. The peach peppers, there again, it's a new thing for us. I'm a little leery of how they'll do. I'm just gonna start 2 of them, see how they do. Green bell peppers, if I can get those to grow, I know that we will eat those. I cook with those all the time, so I'm gonna do 4 cells of those, and then same thing with jalapenos. We go through a lot of those, so I'll do 4 cells of those. Okay, so these peach peppers, they are going to go 1/4 of an inch deep into the soil. These ones do need light to germinate, it says, which is fine because they're already going to be under my grow light. I'm going to do 2 seeds in each tray because, there again, I've never tried these before and I just don't know what to expect. So okay, these also benefit, most peppers and tomatoes benefit from a heat mat. They like to be warm and happy. Okay, green bell peppers, I'm also going to do 1/4 of an inch. Okay, these pink fang tomatoes, 1/8 of an inch, so not very deep here. And the jalapeno peppers, this is an early variety, so hopefully that will get us some jalapenos. 1/4 of an inch. Light is not required for the tomatoes of this variety. And that was the end of those ones, so I'm going to put those in my reorder pile. Mist these in good, so I will check these every day. If they look like they're getting dry, I'll mist them again. Mostly I just watch the domes to see how wet the dome top looks. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 cells each of the red onion, the Barolo variety, the yellow onion, the Walla Walla Sweets, and the yellow onion, the Patterson. Okay, so what I'm done with my onions in the past, I'm actually going to take the top layer of soil out of all these. I want them to be, if I would have thought about this, I just want to fill them up this full, but that's okay. Next time. So I'm trying to take about 1/4 of an inch of soil off the top layer of these without packing down the rest of it, which is actually harder to do than it looks. So I like to plant onions in what I call carpet style. So by carpet style, I mean you're kind of growing carpet or grass. But basically, I'm just sprinkling all throughout the sill quite a bit of seeds because these can actually grow for quite a long time in close contact with each other. And as they start to get long and lengthy, you can just give them a little haircut, cut them back, let those roots get established more. I call it carpet style because I'm trying to do is make it grow up like grass. Instead of just having one spot in the center of the cell, I'm trying to plant the whole cell all the way across so that I can actually have lots of onions. We eat a ton of onions. I eat everything I plant every year, and we plant usually a lot. So I think last year I planted about this many. I planted actually more seeds, though I planted them very, very thick. I'm trying to go a little bit less thick this year, which doesn't have to be much. So these are the Walla Wallas. So again, just sprinkling all throughout that cell so it grows in like a dense carpet. So the other thing to remember about onion seeds is usually the seeds are not good the next year. So if you have seeds that are over a year old, you probably will not get a lot, if any, of germination on them. So I have done that before and not had good luck with that. That was before I realized that. So I like to just plant them nice and thick because I'm not going to use these seeds again next year. So if you are not going to use the whole pack, because there's 250 seeds in here, one way to do it would be to share your pack with a friend. I'm going to plant mine a little bit thicker in hopes that I'm getting more out of there. You can always try them the next year. I did not have hardly anything come up when I did that and just did not have good success with it. So I'm trying not to do that again. So I'm just going to go back and do these just a little bit thicker for that reason, because I don't want to waste seeds if I don't have to. And these can share some space for quite a while. Okay, so now I'm just going to lightly stick some soil over the top. Okay. And mist them in. Onions like to be wet. Okay, so these are all the seeds that we planted today. Everything's been misted and everything has a dome, and then it's all going to go on a heat mat because there are seeds in here that require a heat mat and it won't hurt the other ones. So under the grow lights, I'm going to put the grow lights as low as I can get them. So that will benefit those seeds that have to have the light to grow, which there were a couple varieties in here that do, but also won't hurt the ones that don't have to have the light to grow. So that's the plan. I'm going to check them every day, mist them when they need it, probably every day, every couple days. As the plants start to come out, they will start to need misting every day, and then as they get bigger, I'll switch to bottom watering. So that's it. These are my early seed starters. I'm hoping to do another round in a month or two of some of the later seeds that don't take quite as long to get ready to go for spring. So if I get to that in a month or two, I will bring you guys along and you can join me for that. Otherwise, make sure you go check out the video where I go through each of the seed varieties in detail, my seed ordering videos, so you can see exactly why I chose what I chose today. Thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.